Oh well. Who's a nice Mr. Possum? Oh well.
Fucking got him. Hello, if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you know I'm in a weird place with slip joint knives. I want to be like the cool guys and have a whole bunch of them and enjoy my slip joints and cut up apples with them and be just a general cool slip joint dude. I've dabbled in the field, but I am mainly stuck on the simple fact that they are boring and dumb. That being said, this one here is quite nice. This is the Lion Steel Gitano. It's made of a fairly modern steel. The Slepter is like a sweet little D2 variant. Got some nice olive wood handles, a bit of a modern look to the bolster and that with the visible hardware and whatnot. Even has a pocket clip. It slices well, it performs well. It's quite nice in the pocket and it's unique looking. But the carriage days on this guy sadly are still, after the review is over, they're in the single digits. In the months that I've had this blade, I very rarely find myself choosing the Gitano, no matter how, how much I want to enjoy carrying this. And it is just comes down to that I like the more accessible, rapid deployment knives. And I'm not even the kind of guy who does a tactical. I do a tactical maybe once a year. And even then it's just a pretend one. Let alone, I don't know, to be honest, how this has become such a robust part of the knife world, but yet it is, and so yet I still keep trying to get into the slip joints. So when I saw Lion Steel, again, I don't know why I'm still steering towards a Lion Steel, probably because you can actually buy them. That does help. For a dispassionate guy like me, that definitely helps. Lion Steel was selling another slip joint. This one was in modern materials, it was in an integral design, and it has a new bit of technology on it that I hadn't seen before. So I thought this could be the knife that is gonna ring my slip joint bell. And so I saw the thrill and my brain said straight away,
Buongiorno.
And I pulled the trigger on it. So let's break down the Lion Steel thrill and see if it ignites my slip joint passions, i.e., will I actually carry it this time? Let's do a bit of a rundown. What have we got here? We've got M390 blade steel. Now, M390 and Lion Steel, well, there was a bit of community drama about that before. There was some sort of, scandal perhaps that they're a bit soft or whatever. On the face value, M390 is a fine steel, and unless you are really, pushing your knives to the limit, you may not really notice if it has a Rockwell of 59 or a Rockwell of 62. It's going to be a bit easier to sharpen if it's on the lower end. It's going to be a bit longer lasting in edge retention if it's on the other end. This one has seemed fine so far. And I'm definitely getting towards, I'm being a bit browbeaten by all that sort of drama a bit, and I am steering more towards whatever makes me happy and whatever I actually notice organically. So I'm thinking that this is a pretty good proposition all up, but I will certainly knock the knife when I need to about the blade, and I will just slightly in a little bit. Now, the handle is aluminium, aluminum. I hear you Americans say it like that. And it is integral, so it is one piece of steel with the milling sort of on this back spring here. It's attached still, and there's no seams really, which is really, really nice and very kind of cool and fancy really way of doing a knife. So the back spacer is just like a part of the knife. It's just a solid bit of aluminium, and it's just drilled out and bored out and whatnot. So it's a really cool little unique look, and it does feel really nice in the hand, not having any seams, and they have certainly rounded off all the channels and edges and grooves. It's a really, really comfortable in the hand small pocket knife. It's a little bit on the square and boxy side, but they certainly do mitigate it with some really nice kind of texturing and yeah, some really nice shouldering of all the corners. Lovely stuff. Now there is some hardware. You've got the pivot hardware there, and then you've got the little, there's like a secondary little bar inside the knife that sort of controls how deep and shallow the lock goes, I think, to keep the walk and torque from being too mushy. That being said, the walk, how it travels, and the torque, how it snaps, is okay, probably on the softer side. A lot softer than the Lion Steel Gitano, which is much sort of snappier. This guy is certainly not mushy, and it's, it's precise enough, and there's resistance, but it's, yeah, a little bit softer, but nice. I'm finding it quite pleasant to actuate this blade, indeed. Now, the star of the show here is under this little button here, adorned with the Lion Steel lion. You've got a optional pocket clip that is optional as long as you want it out. You push the button and you pull the pocket clip out, and the pocket clip pops out when you push the button, and then you slide it into your pants. And as soon as you take it out though of your pants, it retracts back into the handle. Bing, it's gone, allowing you to fully grip down on the knife without having that pocket clip in your hand. So say this Gitano here, you're holding this knife, you've got, well, not quite, but some people don't really like having the pocket clip in their hand, and it is sort of like the same way a fixed blade is nice. It's very symmetrical. There's a Lion Steel fixed blade for you. Look at that. What a sexy thing that is. The M7. Whoa. Moletta, you dog, you sexy, sexy man. And yeah, so it does kind of make it more of a symmetrical handle and able to be, gripped and grabbed and turned around with no little thin bits of sprung wire poking you in the palm. So that's a pretty cool thing, and it's something I have not seen before. I know there's removable pocket clips, and pocket clips you can sort of slide up and around, but having a little lion button, bing, I don't know if this is patented technology or not, but yeah, I think that's quite cool, and it definitely is an interesting thing about the thrill. Maybe it's what the thrilling part of it is. Maybe that's why they called it the thriller. I think it's fairly exciting, but then it's the kind of excitement that tends to dull over time, that's for sure. But very, very cool little unique feature on a traditional modern style knife. Let's look at it next to some other knives to see how it sort of sizes up. Now, fitting for the country that gave us Monica Bellucci.
Oh my God, he's got a boner.
Italy seems to like their blades a little bit thick. So the Lion Steel Thrill is unfortunately no exception. It's a little bit of a fat blade. So that is something that you may well notice when you are doing finer cutting tasks. It has quite a good edge on it, I will give it that, and they have certainly gone with a steeper angle than I've seen them put before, and they haven't worried about any of that convexy stuff they put on like the SR1 series, which just made them chonkers and kind of hard to push through anything that gave any sort of resistance. But this is my sort of geometry testing media, this vinyl tube here. It's kind of squishy. You really need a nice, keen, thin blade to go through this with any sort of pleasantness. So I guess this highly scientific test, I'll rate the pleasantness out of 10 of doing this cut, and then I'll show you a knife that perhaps does it better or worse. Well, actually, I don't know how it's going to go, but I know this is a thick blade, so let's just have a see. Thick blade with a sharp edge. All right, that sharp edge is doing it some favors, but it is certainly squeaking through the material. A little bit less nice than, well, let's have a look at the Gitano here. This is the Sleipner steel, taller blade, thinner behind the edge. Definitely about a 50% easier and more pleasant cut on the pleasantness scale. And yeah, you really do feel that extra thickness in this much sort of shorter and also a little bit thicker blade here. So shrug. I mean, I just think Lion Steel, you need less Monica Bellucci and more, well, me perhaps. I don't know. Shapeless, narrow is fine on a knife edge. Review time. So the review period is over. I've done my rudimentary testing period. Cue the montage, I suppose. And I am quite happy to say that this has joined the quad of knives, making it a quin of knives that I'm actually going to choose to carry. The knives that when I'm not reviewing something, I will take out as a matter of whatever kind of day I'm having. So that is of course for my two little EDCs, my TRM Neutron 2 and my Benchmade 945. And then for when I'm after something perhaps a little bit larger, when I can't be bothered putting a fixed blade on, but I'm doing outside work, I'll use my Spyderco Stretch 2 or Indela, but usually the Stretch 2 lately. And then also my Alma Eagle, which I just like because of how it looks. It's got pretty average steel and everything else about it. It's pretty archaic, but I really like this knife as well. So that's my 4 becoming 5, and it was a modern slip joint from Lion Steel that did it. The Gitana wasn't quite there, and some other GECs I had didn't quite make the cut. The thing is, this actually reminds me in use a fair bit of the Benchmade 945. Mainly in terms of how the blades kind of work through things, and I guess they're both aluminium handled. It's just really the actions are different. They're both about the same level of kind of thickness behind the edge. These aren't super fine cutting tools, but they're pleasant to have in your hand, pleasant to look at. And what's actually done it for me is this little stupid pocket clip, very much gimmick thing, but I like that. I like to be able to use a pocket clip on my knife, and the deployment's not bothered me as much as I thought it would. It's funny what appeals to the old brain. The very kind of modern integral, ribbed aluminium on the handle certainly does some favors for me aesthetically as well. And I sort of do like these kind of more basic looking black and silver style knives, as you can probably tell from the Eagle and the Falcon I've had before, and my Falcon Evens and all those sorts of things. So I like a lot about this blade. Not the best fine cutter in the world, just like the 945, but for EDC use, for opening a packet of batteries or whatever, it actually does just fine. And a lot of this, a bit like most hobbies, a lot of it just comes down to personal taste, and this one really does hit my personal tastes. More objectively speaking, it's a very well-made knife. The only sort of knock I could quite give it is there is perhaps the slightest of little unintentional beards on the very sort of beginning of the blade there. It's sort of slightly recurvy maybe, or whatever you call that, when it's just gone a little bit lower. It's not a dead straight. Everything was about it really nicely finished, put together. You definitely feel the value, I guess, of you feel the 250 bucks. It's nothing about it so rough that you feel like that was an exorbitant amount of money. 250 Australian dollars, was 170 US, about that. So yeah, it's a bit, but that's kind of everything. Unless you're getting a Chinese-made Civivi knife, a quality knife made anywhere else is going to be about that, especially when you're using things like M390 and integral aluminium handles and having funny little, rather Moorish push-button pocket clips and things like that. So yeah, I'm quite happy to say that this one is joining my optional rotation, the knife that I choose to carry it when I'm not reviewing it. So really happy with the Lion Steel Thrill. It's done quite well. I would like it to be thinner in the blade, and I'd probably like the steel to be, the best iteration of M390, not just kind of the more, rudimentary implementation of it, but it's still going to be fine. It's going to be nice and stainless. It certainly is holding the edge for quite a good long time through all of my use. I haven't had to sharpen it yet. I haven't even stropped it yet, and it's still a nice sharp edge. So look, overall, I like the Lion Steel Thrill a lot. If you like your traditionals to be the super thin blades, then it still might not be the one for you. Like, you might just prefer something 1095 from GEC if you can get one. But for anyone else who's just after perhaps just as much of a showpiece as a use piece, and something with a cool little hook or gimmick to it, yeah, give the Thrill a chance. It might be the knife that converts you, because it might well have been the knife that's converted me. No, actually, definitely not. This is an outlier. This is an outlier in that it's a traditional style knife that is so untraditional that I don't find it boring and dumb. So that's my verdict. Not boring and dumb. Lion Steel Thrill.